That was because when the planning commission didn't receive the
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Liquor Control Commission meeting of November 4th, 2019. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Clerk Simpson.
Commissioner Vogel?
Here.
Commissioner Kruger?
Present.
Commissioner Rafato?
Here.
Commissioner Lang?
Here.
Commissioner Papantos?
Present.
Commissioner Vito?
Here.
Chairperson Horker?
Here. You have before you the minutes of the special meeting of October 7th, 2019. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Papantos, second, Commissioner Rafato. Roll call.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Rafato?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos?
Yes.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker?
Yes. Citizens' concerns and comments.
There are none.
Thank you, Clerk Simpson. New business. Mr. Spondilis.
Would the clerk like to read the item?
6A, consideration of request for Class CLC liquor license from Old Munich Tavern Incorporated.
Thank you. As the title indicates, this is a request for a Class CLC supplemental late closing license for Old Munich Tavern Incorporated, located at 582 North Milwaukee Avenue. In the recent past, the board has created the opportunity of a CLC license, which simply allows for an existing tavern to consider operating hours until 4 a.m. So should the commission pass this request, and then should the board grant associated special use approval, which is on this evening's agenda, and should the Board of Trustees authorize the creation of a new Class CLC liquor license, Old Munich would be allowed to operate 7 days a week until 4 a.m.
All of that has to happen?
All that has to happen.
Questions or comments from anyone? Commissioners? Yes? No?
Make a motion we approve. I'll second.
Motion, Commissioner Vogel, second, Commissioner Lang. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vogel.
Hold on. Oh, you did read the conditions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner Vogel,
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger,
Yes.
Commissioner Rafato,
Yes.
Commissioner Lang,
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos,
Yes.
Commissioner Vito,
Yes.
Chairperson Horker.
Yes. That concludes the business for the Liquor Control Commission for the evening. I need a motion to adjourn that commission.
So moved.
Second.
Give
We're gonna
the
pick it out.
motion to Rafato and the
Wait,
second.
who is it?
Motion to Commissioner Rafato and the second to Commissioner Kruger.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commission adjourned. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Village Board for November 4th, 2019. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vogel,
Present.
no, not Commissioner, Trustee Vogel,
Here.
Trustee Kruger,
Present.
Trustee Rafato,
Here.
Trustee Lang,
Here.
Trustee Papantos,
Present.
President Horker. Oh, Trustee Vito,
Here.
President Horker.
Here. You have before you the regular minutes of the regular meeting of October 7th of 2019. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Motion, Trustee Papantos, second.
Second.
Trustee Kruger, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel,
Yes.
Trustee Kruger,
Yes.
Trustee Rafato,
Yes.
Trustee Lang,
Yes.
Trustee Papantos,
Yes.
Trustee Vito,
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes this evening.
Thank you, sir. Clerk Simpson, citizens' concerns and comments?
Members of the public may address the committee, the board with comments regarding only those items that are relevant to village business. No citizen shall speak for more than 5 minutes without consent of the board. Members of the general public who wish to address the board must sign the request to speak form prior to the commencement of the public hearing.
Just as a reminder,
I'll go ahead.
Just as a reminder, this is a time for the citizens to make comments and express their concerns, and for the board to listen. Neither the board nor the staff will be answering questions.
Mr. Watts?
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to commend our fire department and police department. On September 11th this year, I made a foolish mistake and fell off a ladder. And 6 of our 5 firemen and 1 policeman came by my house to help me out. They did an excellent job. And I want to commend Jeremy Hoffman, corporal on the police force, and the 5 gentlemen who were on, 3 of them on a engine or truck number 42 and ambulance 24. Those 5 gentlemen only took about 15 or 20 minutes to get me stabilized and in the ambulance and on the way to Northwest Community Hospital. I commend them for that action. I'm a retired Navy petty officer, supervisor, and air crewman. Those guys made me feel proud. I respect them a whole lot. Have in the 3 decades I've been in this town, village. I consider them all my friends, the new ones, the old ones, the retired ones. I respect them so much that I respect them on or off duty. They respect me the same way. And I want to thank you people for hiring them and taking care of those guys. I try to do it my way, which is treat everybody the way I want to be treated. So thank you, Chief McGeisick and Chief Dunn, for training those people the way you have. Because that's the most important thing you can do with people like that. The day you stop training them is the day they become no good for nothing. I found that out in the military. I put 25 years in there, and when I left, it was like, I didn't care. I didn't worry about it. I replaced myself over 100 times in those 25 years. Because I was taught from day one, you train, you're training somebody new every time you work. Thank you again, folks. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Watts.
Mr. Kosak?
I don't know how you follow that. Fantastic. I agree wholeheartedly. My dad and brother and my family, everybody's just really dedicated to the village as well as the police and fire. It's just been it's a great thing. And thank you, Mr. Waltz. I'm here this evening to talk about real estate taxes. I have a vacant piece of property next to La France. It's roughly 1.17 acres. For years, I've been trying to work with the Morans at La France to get it developed, and we're making some progress, hopefully. But one of the things that we all battle with in Cook County, and you have a discussion tonight of Class 7 license or a Class 7 exemption tonight, and I would hope that this story can help dovetail into that discussion, because I'm not the only person in this town that deals with real estate taxes. I pay roughly $100,000 a year between the 2 businesses that we own. We own less than 2 acres of land on Milwaukee Avenue. We operate 2 businesses. That's $8,000 a month in real estate taxes that we have a burden to pay. Now, we're happy to pay them because we get all the wonderful services of police and fire and all the things that we get. But this last time, the assessment came back for the vacant piece of property that is, again, 1.17 acres, and it went from a valuation of $9,700, and again, in commercial terms, $9,700 of valuation is $97,000 worth of value into the real world. So this vacant piece of property with a 10-foot egress and ingress, and Mr. Milan, if you can attest to this, is worth roughly $100,000, which I think is fairly close to market value, honestly. This next pass that came through was $97,178. I thought it was a typo. I thought they misplaced the decimal place. So they increased the value of my 1.17 acres that's vacant, there's no use, no business, no nothing going on it, to $970,000. Now, I went to the assessor's office and I filed a complaint or an appeal. And they came back yesterday with a thing in in the mail that said, we've reduced your taxes based on local comparisons, and we've reduced it to $72,000 or $720,000 worth of valuation. Now, I'm guessing at 2% of that, I'm going to be paying around $35,000 to $38,000 a year in real estate taxes on a vacant piece of property with 10 feet of ingress and egress. Every business person that you guys will talk to in this town has been hammered by real estate taxes. We have a new Fritz Kagi, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's a new assessor in Cook County, and he is crushing every single business owner and every commercial use of land in this town and everywhere in Cook County. It's not just me. So the other thing is it leads me back into the discussion of equal taxation. And frankly, this has been something that's tough for me to deal with, because I don't understand, again, how we can be different and we have the same things. Now, Mr. Horker has a farm. He has lots of uses on 3.43 acres of land. His valuation is $16,000 and has remained unchanged. Now, I'm not saying he has anything to do with that. I'm saying the farm use of the land has a direct correlation to the valuation of the land. Now, I don't have any farm or agriculture going on my 1.17 acres, but I'm going to be taxed at, 5 times or 6 times the valuation that Mr. Horker is. And Mr. Horker there was an article written last year in October where he says, and I quote, "As goofy as it might sound, I'm really eager to have the assessor to come out." As people in this village, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it, somebody gets it for less and somebody gets it for more. It should be equal. And all I'm saying is, Mr. Horker, I implore you, have them come out. If they say it's all above board, I'm good with that. But I think the residents need to understand that while some people are getting hammered with taxes, you should be paying your fair share. And if it turns out that you're paying your fair share, I'm all good with that. I just want someone to come out and look at it, because I know they didn't come out and look at mine. They took some sort of a satellite view and they just went, that's what it is. But I just want to say, it's not just me. It's every business in this town. The people that pay the most taxes in this town are the corporations and the commercial applications. Look in the industrial areas, look in all the commercial areas of this town, and we are bearing the burden of most of this tax. It's not free money. People used to say that when I was on the airport board. It's just free money. It's not free money. We work hard. We put our kids to school. We do good things for this community. We want to be part. And I would implore you, Mr. Horker, please make that call. Thank you.
Ms. Obinski?
Hello, my name is Christina Obinski, and I live in Wheeling. I just came here to ask for permission to have a chicken in my yard. I have a huge yard, and I would like to have them.
Oh,
This is
well, it's, okay. I mean, I can't grant permission, but
I think so noted.
okay, we'll take note and thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
That's all. That's all.
Thank you. Consent agenda, Clerk Simpson.
11, consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all other agenda items. 11A, resolution adopting the Cook County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan, Volume 1, the countrywide action contained within Volume 2, and the Village of Wheeling Jurisdictional Annex contained within Volume 2. Item 11B, resolution authorizing the acceptance of a previously bid contract for the purchase of a 2020 Ford Transit full-size van at a cost not to exceed $34,973. 11C, resolution authorizing temporary lane closure on Illinois Route 21, Milwaukee Avenue, and Illinois Route 68, Dundee Road on Sunday, November 24th, 2019. Item 11D, resolution waiving competitive bidding and approving a 3-year contract with Fountain Technologies Limited for fountain maintenance service as a total cost not to exceed $107,790.57. Item 11E, resolution approving the purchase of a 2,000 tons of rock salt from Compass Minerals Americas Incorporated through the State of Illinois Central Management Service Joint Purchasing Program in the amount of $157,260. Item 11F, resolution authorizing approval of a consultant contract with Kiorba Groups Incorporated for construction engineering inspection of industrial lane public improvements in an amount not to exceed $22,290. Item 11G, resolution approving a second one-year renewal contract with Mailu Landscaping for 2020 landscaping services in an amount not to exceed $251,461.72. 11H, ordinance amending Title 11, Chapter 11.08, Use and Obstruction, Section 11.08.090, mailboxes of the Wheeling Village Code, clarifying replacement of and reimbursement for mailbox damages by village snow plowing. Item 11I, ordinance declaring a surplus and authorizing the disposal, recycling, sale, or auction of municipal property owned by the Village of Wheeling. 11J, resolution authorizing a contract with EJ Equipment Incorporated for the purchase of two Timco Models 600 regenerative air street sweepers in the amount of $260,000, a price that includes the trade-in of two surplus sweepers and is less than the nationwide consortium public bid price. 11K, resolution authorizing change order number 1 and final to the contract with Trine Construction Corporation for the 2019 water main replacement and roadway improvement program in the amount of $89,347.85. Item 11L, resolution approving the recycling of certain executive sessions audio tapes pursuant to the Illinois Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS 120/2.06. 11M, resolution approving the release of certain executive session minutes of the President Board of Trustees of the Village of Wheeling, Illinois. 11N, ordinance amending Chapter 4.32 of the Village of Wheeling's Municipal Code, alcoholic liquor dealers, specifically Section 4.32.085, to increase the authorized number of Class C-LC liquor licenses.
Any questions or comments? Consent agenda? If not, I'd be looking for a motion to approve as read.
So moved.
Motion, trustee Vogel.
Second.
Second, trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Rafato?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. New business, item 13. Clerk Simpson.
13A, public hearing regarding request for Cook County Class 6B property tax assessment classification from Beta Air LLC for the property located at 1720 South Wolf Road.
Do I need a motion to open the public hearing?
No, just to close.
Okay.
You just announced the opening.
This is a hearing for the public to make comments regarding the request for a 6B property tax exemption for 1720 South Wolf Road. A public hearing notice was published in the Daily Herald. Each member of the public shall have 5 minutes to make their comments. During this time, staff and the board will not answer questions. Comments should not be repetitive or argumentative. Are there any comments from the public? If there are no comments, I need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, trustee Rafato, second, trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Rafato?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Item B, Clerk Simpson.
13B, resolution consenting to Cook County Class 6B real estate tax assessment classification for the property located at 1720 South Wolf Road in the Village of Wheeling.
Mr. Malenefi, what is this?
Thank you, President Horker. An application for a Class 6B property tax classification was submitted by Beta Air LLC. The applicant plans to purchase and substantially rehabilitate the vacant industrial property at 1720 South Wolf Road. The applicant will use the property to manufacture packaging products, bubble bags, and courier bags for companies including Amazon, eBay, Groupon, Staples, Office Depot, and the United States Postal Service, UPS, and FedEx. Some of the products that they manufacture include craft bubble mailers, poly bubble mailers, box liners, and rigid mailers. They plan to start up a new product line to manufacture corrugated paper envelopes and honeycomb padded mailers, which are described as an eco-friendly process. The subject property contains approximately 62,000 square feet. It's situated on about 157,000 square foot lot. The applicant budgets and costs to repair and improve the property in preparation for occupancy to be approximately $600,000, including parking lot repair, window glass replacement, exterior wall repair, roof repair, external and door repair and replacement. Some of the interior improvements include remove unnecessary interior walls, retain all load-bearing walls, oil pollution, environmental treatment, factory interior, ground finishing, power maintenance, heating, equipment repair, replacement, and the office and reception area and front desk renovation, as well as office air conditioning repair and replacement, and lunchroom and bathroom renovation, some lighting maintenance updates, communication equipment, alarm system maintenance, fire protection system repair, ventilation system maintenance, and painting. Property's been vacant, 100% vacant and unused since 2010. The applicant's moving their business from Los Angeles. They plan to hire 20 full-time employees within the first year, and they plan to hire 15 more employees in the third year of operation, and another 15 employees in the fifth year of operation. Village staff has reviewed the application and recommends approval of the 6B property tax classification based upon reoccupation of a vacant property with a purchase for value and substantial rehabilitation. The applicant is here. Should the board have any questions? Thank you.
Questions from Trustee Papantos?
Yes. Thank you.
Please come up to would the representative from the business please come up and identify yourself? Hello.
Good evening. I'm Melissa Whitley. I'm the attorney from Elliott & Associates representing the applicant.
My name is Bin Zhao. He's the owner of the manufacturer.
Hello. Trustee
First of all,
Papantos.
welcome to Wheeling. Thank you for coming. How long do you expect that these renovations will take? Length of time before he can open his business?
Schedules 3 to 4 months.
3 to 4 months. It seemed like quite an extensive list, and I'll be frank with you, at $600,000 seemed quite low. You do have contingencies planned in there to get this amount of work done?
You mean the remodel, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we did it as soon as possible. We already started our schedule work. You know, we already prepared our teams, you know, to study. When we close, we will be doing it soon.
He's, if the village approves or supports the Class 6B application, he is scheduled to close November 25th. And as soon as he starts, or as soon as the closing is over, he has people in place to get this done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? Left, right? If there are no other questions or concerns, I need a motion from the board.
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
Trustee Papantos, second to Trustee Rufato. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Congratulations, sir. Welcome to the village.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am ready.
Yes, ma'am.
Item 13C, ordinance granting a special use to establish an existing tavern and extension of operating hours at 582 North Milwaukee Avenue, Old Munich Inn, docket number 2019-21.
Mr. Jennings.
Thank you, President Horker. The petitioner is the manager and operator of 582 North Milwaukee Avenue, the Old Munich Inn. It's an existing tavern. The special use ordinance that you have in front of you this evening has more than one function to it. The tavern has existed in essentially this form for many years and predates the requirement for special use for operating a tavern. So when the petitioner approached the staff regarding the request to extend the hours, we suggested that they also use this opportunity to request formal documentation of the existing conditions in conjunction with the extension of the hours. So the draft ordinance that you have in front of you would accomplish both of those. It includes a reference to the existing conditions, the floor plan, and the site plan and appearance that were recently approved in 2018 by the Plan Commission. Beyond that, it does also include the Plan Commission's recommendation on the petitioner's recent request to extend the operating hours to 4 a.m. There are two conditions of approval in the motion by the Plan Commission. The first notes that the special use would be subject to the issuance of a Class CLC license, and the second condition clarifies that the operating hours shall conclude no later than 4 a.m. The petitioner is here to answer any questions that you may have. The Plan Commission did recommend approval of this by a vote of 6-0 with one absent.
Thank you. Would the petitioner please come to the podium? Trustee Papantos?
I just want to clarify, we've issued the license. We just did that, correct?
Yes, contingent upon this being approval.
Special use.
Good evening. Bill Lombardius, 582 North Milwaukee.
That was it?
That was it?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Well, I got a question for you.
Oh, okay.
Actually, not a question, more of a statement. Why don't you tell everybody what you've done inside this place? You've kind of transformed it from a building that was going to probably be torn down to a pretty decent establishment. So
Yes,
tell everyone.
it was a lot of work. It took about a year to do so, going back and forth. Again, thank you for all the support and the extra work that was needed to get done. Andrew Jennings and all of you, the rest of the staff, with the septic issue that we had, amongst other issues. We have done a lot of work, including ADA compliance, redoing the whole outside, the inside, the whole structure, the bathrooms. But again, I believe now it's probably the oldest, I'm going to clarify that, the oldest building in Wheeling now. That's still.
Simpson was working on those details.
The Historical Society.
No, I am working on it, and we have an older building, but we're not 100% sure yet.
I was just curious because some
The
people
only
were
thing I
saying-
can really tell you is, there was never horses there. Even though it says, he said that there was horses there was never horses there. Pony Express never went that way. That I am 100% positive of.
Sorry.
Sorry. I think there's some documents that says that that's
I'd like to see them,
great.
because the horses never came this far north. So if you have anything, the Historical Society would really appreciate it.
Great.
Aside from the Pony Express.
So, motion to approve.
Does anyone have any other concerns? Okay, thank you, Trustee Lang. Motion from Trustee Lang to approve, second. From Trustee Kruger. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Rafato?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item D.
13D, ordinance amending Chapter 4.32, alcoholic liquor dealers, Section 4.32.070, license fees of the Village of Wheeling's Municipal Code regarding initial liquor license fees for video gaming establishments.
Mr. Svandulis.
Thank you. This, before you this evening is a clarification intended as a code amendment following what we believe is the intent of the code. Specifically, the state has, in the past couple of months, increased the allowable number of gaming terminals in an authorized restaurant from 5 to 6. So as that change occurred, we looked at our code to see what impact, if any, it would have, and realized that the way our code is written, the initial fees paid by an establishment when they are putting these machines in is $500 per terminal, initial fee. So as we looked at the new state allowance of a sixth machine, we realized that we believe the intent of the code was to charge $500 per machine when that machine was installed for the purpose of offsetting the cost of our end of things, which is the way all of our fees work. So not only is there the paperwork involved, but also there is an inspection required for each of these machines, because the state creates or has set forth regulations for distances from a number of things. It's actually quite complicated. So what this change to the code does this evening is simply apply the village's existing standard for $500 per machine once when the machine is installed. It applies it to whenever that machine should be added, in whether that was initially they had 3 machines and now they're moving up to 4, 5, or 6, or if they were already at the max of 5, moving up to the new state allowance of 6. So again, this is just a clarification on what we believe is the intent of the code.
Thank you, Mr. Spondulis. Trustee Papantos, you had some questions or comments?
I just wanted, and Manager Spondulis did an excellent job explaining what it is people get for the initial fee. It is the inspection to come out and verify that everything is within the state guidelines or laws that are set up. And so that's what the initial fee is for. And this has nothing to do with the annual fee.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Trustee Rufato, you have a question?
Yeah, just, so if somebody, how would we know when somebody gets an additional machine?
Well, they need a license from the state, right?
Right.
And their liquor license requires it
Yeah,
as well.
I think, Trustee Rufato, what we can do is clarify our renewal application to, when you're a video gaming establishment, add a category or a question, how many terminals do you have? So that'll be our catch-all,
Okay.
which we renew every year in April.
That's, I was just curious, because somebody right now in between, right now before license renewal comes up, they can have a machine installed, and we wouldn't know about it.
We will find out about it, though,
At
as soon as
renewal.
they start paying, well, as soon as they start paying their taxes. So
that's true.
Our finance department would catch it first, but I think what Attorney Furlow said makes the most sense, because
Right.
we don't want to have to catch someone. So getting ahead of it makes the most
That'll
sense.
be the fail-safe.
That's the fail-safe, exactly.
Great, thank you.
If there's any other questions or comments? There are none. Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion, Trustee Kruger, second.
Second.
Trustee Lang, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. I think we're up to E.
Item 11E, resolution authorizing the village president and village manager to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the mutual aid box alarm system for temporary use of its facility.
Mr. McIsaac, excellent work. Can you please explain this?
Thank you. First of all, I have to say this was a team effort. The deputy chief is an integral player in this as well. We've worked out an agreement with the mutual aid box alarm system at 233 West Hintz. As you know, we're hoping to move out of the existing Station 23 in the early part of 2020. This allows us to tear down this building completely and proceed in a more efficient manner. The positive note of this intergovernmental agreement is MABAS has graciously allowed us to move into their building for the length of construction at no cost to the village of Wheeling.
Questions or comments from my left, my right? Trustee Kruger.
Thank you. I just have one question, Chief. What are the housing provisions inside the MABAS building?
On the second floor, there's actually a series of existing bunk rooms that are used during disaster scenarios. So we will be moving on to the second floor. There's a kitchenette that's already there, bathrooms, an area for a day room area. and we will be using what used to be the old Fleet Services bay on the west side off of Knoll as our staging for an engine company.
Great, thank you.
The Presbyterian Church.
There are no other questions. Mr. Spondilis, you wanted to make something clear here.
Yeah, I would just like to say I think that the chief is downplaying the extraordinary effort of the department in securing this deal. Ultimately, we believe that the savings to the taxpayers is about $1 million of this negotiation and the kindness of MABAS. Certainly, we're lucky that MABAS happens to be in our town for a number of reasons. This is just the newest among them, but ultimately it's the relationship between the chief, the department as a whole, and MABAS that allows the village of Wheeling to take advantage of the opportunity of MABAS being in town. And he perhaps is uncomfortable taking, he and the department are uncomfortable taking the credit, but I think it needs to be known that the taxpayers are receiving a huge benefit from that relationship, and it is excellent work on their part.
Thank you, Mr. Spondilis. And again, thank you, Chief. If there are no other questions or comments, we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion trustee Vogel, second trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes, and thank you again, Chief.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes.
Item 11F, discussion regarding Cook County's Class 7 incentive program.
Yes.
Thank you. Before you this evening is a discussion of Cook County program called Class 7. Everyone is very aware of the Class 6 program, which in fact is something that we discussed this evening earlier. Director Milanofi will go into some of the details, but I wanted to introduce where this is coming from. Everyone is aware that it has become a challenge to recruit businesses into town, and the Class 7 program is an existing program through the county that we are looking at as an opportunity for the village of Wheeling to further make our community attractive to, in this case, the commercial sector. Class 6 deals specifically with the industrial sector. Class 7 deals with the commercial sector. So as staff continues to think about what can we do to attract businesses, always for the purpose of making this community more well-rounded, but also to help offset the burden of property tax. The only way really to do that is to bring in business that creates sales tax. And this was already on the books with the county. We thought it was a wonderful idea. Makes perfect sense, particularly for us now that we have a number of vacant commercial properties. And again, Director Milanofi will go through the details of what exactly it means. But I wanted to set the foundation of the conversation to say, really, the board already knows what Class 7 is, because Class 7 mirrors Class 6, but Class 7 deals with commercial property, whereas Class 6 deals with industrial property. So with that, Director Milanofi.
Thank you, Manager Spondilis. A great explanation of what we're trying to accomplish here. But basically, we would like the village board to consider the Class 7 program. Really, the closure of Sam's Club is what prompted me to really consider this program. We could have adopted it years ago. We really didn't have that much commercial vacancy. Most of our vacant stores were recycled into, new uses and so forth. But the program is virtually identical to the Class 6B, which we just approved. And so a applicant would, if they received a Class 7, would pay 10% of market value for the first 10 years, 15% of market value in the 11th year, and 20% of market value in the 12th year. The property goes back to 25% of market value in the 13th year. The applicant would be required to occupy the building. They're not going to get a Class 6B until they actually occupy the building. And if that applicant or recipient were to close, then Cook County would rescind the Class 7 exemption for that property. The Village of Wheeling is proposing that the program would only apply to sales tax producing or hotel tax producing commercial businesses only under our guidelines. Because of local approval, we can put our own guidelines, that the objectives that we want to achieve with this program. The two Class 7 programs that we are considering, the Class 7A is focused upon total development costs exclusive of land that do not exceed $2 million. The village is proposing under our guidelines that it have at least $1 million in total development costs. The Class 7B is focused upon total development costs exclusive of land over $2 million. So that would apply to a property like Sam's Club, where a property like the Ram Restaurant, which is vacant, or Twin Peaks, would also need that $2 million threshold. But if there's businesses that wouldn't have development costs exclusive of land over $2 million, they'd have to apply for the Class 7A. We believe that the Class 7 program could be structured to meet several Wheeling-focused objectives, and we are currently excluding office buildings because they don't produce sales tax revenue, and Village Attorney Furlow actually added a number of criteria and guidelines, particularly with the sales tax revenue, but also that we can audit any promised improvements that the applicant has indicated that they're going to undertake. We have the ability to audit those improvements and that are reasonably requested by staff. And the village board would have the power to seek revocation of the Class 7 in the event it determines that the property owner failed to make the promised improvements, or if the property owner refused to allow staff to audit the property. We would also indicate in the application that the village would, if assuming approval, that the village would strictly prohibit renewals of the Class 7 program. Similar to the Class 6B, we strictly prohibit renewals. The village board passed a resolution early on in at least 10 years ago that the Class 6B has a finite life, and that was used to recycle vacant buildings. The economic development staff, we've reviewed this. We've talked to a lot of our other colleagues, economic development professionals throughout Cook County, and we're recommending that the village board consider approving this program, and that you would direct us to finalize our application forms for both the Class 7A and Class 7B. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Malinefi. Trustee Vogel and then Trustee Lang.
Just one question. What about the Kmart property? Would that qualify? I mean, it's vacant now. There was a commercial building there, retail. It's been torn down. If someone came in and decided to build a home goods store?
Certainly it would apply. One of the things that I didn't mention, because there was a lot of information here, is that in the case of Kmart, we have the TIF district that could be utilized for the redevelopment of that property.
Okay.
So in this case, it's more for vacant vacant commercial buildings where we can provide that incentive. In the case of the Ram Restaurant or Sam's Club, neither of those properties are located in a TIF district. So we don't have anything in our toolbox to address that vacancy. And so that's why economic development is proposing this 7 program. We could offer TIF incentives for the Kmart property.
If we would offer TIF, they wouldn't get the 7.
Right. We don't want to do both because that would hurt when you reduce the assessed value, that's going to impact the TIF district.
Okay.
The increment would be greatly affected with
Right.
a 7A or B in a TIF district,
I
which
just
is
want to make
not.
sure. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, trustee Vogel. Trustee Lang and then trustee Papantos.
Thank you. I think it's really important that we're tying in sales tax producing. That is key for this 7 A's and B's. But my question is that the consultant that we had for the station area plan talked about creating more office space in town to support our restaurants and other businesses as well, and I believe that's very important as well. So what kind of, going forward, what kind of programs can we introduce or take part in that might generate some interest in more office space in town?
Great question, and we actually wrestled with this. Should office buildings and, that enhance the daytime working population in Wheeling to support restaurants and other retail facilities. But most of the areas in the village where office space could be developed are in existing TIF districts. And so we felt that that tool is available for office development and redevelopment. And so you take all the office properties in proximity to the Wheeling Metro Station and the Wheeling Town Center, they could benefit from the TIF district, where the Class 7 programs could really help us in areas that are outside the TIF districts. And I think the village board has been very pro-business and creating that business climate where office users would like to exist is really helpful. And so sales tax producing uses is really the best way that we can use this program and recycle vacant commercial properties.
And there's such a glut of office space in this area, right?
Absolutely.
So that's probably also keeping us from getting added office space here.
Right, the north suburban office market segment is, if not the highest, has the worst performing office sector in terms of vacancy outside of the northwest suburban sector that had the AT&T facility go dark. But we've also seen a migration of companies into downtown, and Takeda's vacating about 600,000 square feet over in Deerfield. So the office market is challenged at the moment. And we also don't want to open the floodgates of incentives. We really want this to be targeted towards some of our larger properties where they're not in a TIF district, and this will provide that tool in our toolbox.
I agree. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, trustee Lang. Trustee Papantos and then trustee Rufato.
Thank you. Do we know how many towns have started this program?
Many of the south and southwest suburban communities have already used this program, and I think more will look at this as we, given the changes in brick and mortar retailing today. But you look at most of the communities that have adopted it, some of their socioeconomic characteristics are at the lower end of the spectrum as well, and so they've had to resort to the Class 7 in a more widespread manner throughout the communities.
Would Wheeling be one of the first in the northwest suburban area, to your knowledge?
Yes.
Which is great. I like being first and a leader on this for people to come in. Thank you. Would it have the same vacancy times as the Class 6B does?
Yes, I didn't read all the guidelines, but at least 12 months of continuous vacancy would be required.
Great. And is there any size requirement as far as the size of the building that's going to be replaced?
No.
Or anything that fits the general category?
It has to be over $1 million, but less than $2 million for the Class 7A program, and then at least $2 million for the 7B, excluding land.
And I'm assuming our fees, application fees would be the same or similar as they are
Yes,
for the
we have
Class 6?
proposed $950, similar to the Class 6B application, subject to village board approval. And we would bring our application form back to the village board for approval.
Do you think that once this, people start hearing about this, they're going to start taking a little more interest in Sam's Club or the Ram or any of the other vacant restaurants?
We've received preliminary feedback from at least one investor that had looked at some of our restaurant space, that this would be a driving force of them returning to the negotiating table to potentially purchase one of those facilities if they were able to obtain a Class 7.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Trustee Rufato, and then Kruger next.
Thank you. John, the $1 million, are we, for class 7A? I'm sorry, B. Is it B or A that?
You're correct with A, 7A.
Is the $1 million. Are we, is that an easy number to hit? $1 million seems like, for redevelopment, seems like a lot if you look at something like the Ram. I'm just, thinking if another brewery went in there, would they be able to hit $1 million in development costs? Is based upon your experience? Are we eliminating a group by having it at $1 million?
We're absolutely eliminating a group. We're really trying to isolate larger projects. We're not looking to have an avalanche of incentives from every business in the village. We have finite resources, and so when we looked at these two programs, originally we looked at only the 7B, but then we thought that may be short-sighted, that we don't want to eliminate some of these smaller projects. But again, below $1 million, and in some instances, we may be able to help those businesses if they're already located in a TIF district with the facade improvement grant. But it's an excellent question that we wrestled with as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Spondulis.
I'd just like to add to Trustee Rufato's question. Please correct me if I'm wrong. We do believe, though, that the Ram would probably require about $1 million. So as far as that particular project, right, but because we talked about this at length, because we wanted to make sure that we don't over-incentivize for tiny projects, otherwise everyone is going to want it, but we also want to make sure that we capture some of those larger ones like the Ram. So we believe that the Ram would fall into this category.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Rufato. Trustee Kruger, followed by Trustee Vito.
Thank you, Mr. President. Director Malanaphy, I had a lot of questions about this before the meeting, and you did a great job of explaining quite a bit of them away. I just have a couple left.
Okay.
Outside of the former Sam's Club and Twin Peaks and Ram, where else do we think we might get some bang for this program?
Sure. Some of the properties that are not in a TIF district could be candidates. Some that come to mind pretty quickly, La Francais, that vacant restaurant. Could you have a sales tax producing use on the Solex College site? I know we have a developer looking at that, but certainly that could have been a candidate for the Class 7B. Any of our older hotels, if something happened to one of them going dark, that we could provide that incentive. And any other restaurants. But this really was focused on Sam's Club and the two vacant restaurants, given that they're nearly 13,000 square feet.
Right. And the last question is, what will the burden on staff be to implement and administer this program?
Given some of the guidelines that we've put in place, we believe that we can manage this through staff with working at the onset with applicants to make sure that they only apply when it really looks like it's going to meet the eligibility requirements. We've had roughly 6 to 8 Class 6Bs on an annual basis, and we figure that we could have a few of these, and that's why we limited it, that you couldn't apply unless there are going to be improvements of over $1 million.
And lastly, I appreciate the explanation of revocation.
Yes.
Because that was one of my, I didn't know
Yes.
if there was ever a way for us to get back or get something back or stop from a developer who, say, on a 6B decides to leave at year 9.
Right, right.
You know, what happens to the program if they start, they get granted the relief, and then they leave?
Right, and that's why I wanted to explain during that the, what, they only, similar to industrial, they only get the Class 6B when they're occupying the building. So if they close and the tax bill is going to reflect that now they're gone and the business is closed, and the owner's probably going to apply for vacancy relief. But the other thing is we benefit from those sales tax revenues that they generate while they're operating. So Attorney Ferrolo did a terrific job of putting in some of those, what I call clawback provisions, where we have the opportunity to audit these companies and to make sure that they put in the promised improvements.
Can I add to, just to clarify, Trustee Kruger, we can't revoke the 6B or the 7A or B. We would have, you as a board would have to pass a resolution asking the county board to revoke it with some basis being provided. Basis being that either a taxpayer did not come through with the promised improvements, the doors have closed, whatever the case may be, and under our guidelines, did not supply proof that they came through with the promised improvements. But it would take a resolution by this board, just like we have to provide support of the initial grant, we would have to provide a resolution with support for revocation. County may not revoke it. It's not a guarantee. That's a tool we have available under the county ordinance. It's likely they would if the evidence is strong, but it's up to them.
I don't think we would move forward with that unless the evidence was strong, I would hope. But it's good to know that that's in our toolbox, too.
Right, absolutely.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kruger. Trustee Vito?
Yeah, thank you. I'm in favor of the incentives, and I'm not worried about floodgates. I kind of wish it didn't, or at least the proposals didn't have the floor of $1 million and didn't limit it to sales tax producing businesses. We don't do that, as we discussed on Saturday with the difference between us and Buffalo Grove. We don't do that for industrial manufacturing and other commercial uses when we would do a 6B. So I don't know why I know why, but I don't think it's equitable to apply that sales tax producing requirement onto this 7A, 7B category. In terms of the office spaces itself, I think, like you said, that being the weakest market needs the most incentive. And the fact that we're the fact that we're excluding that seems counterintuitive to what needs to be incentivized the most. So, I mean, obviously, I'm in support of this. I just, I think there could be a little bit more incentivizing going on with it that we could use. In terms of office space, when you get office end users, I mean, they do go out and spend money for lunch and things like that to keep the restaurants alive. And the same with the restaurants themselves. When you take away those vacancies through incentivizing, the adjacent properties then become much more valuable, which we can then capture when they're paying without any incentive to get into the area where they want to be, so there's no blight and there's no vacancy. That's just my opinion on it all. I don't know how everyone else, well.
I could just quickly address some of the reasons why we went that way, which I've already stated, but when you look at Wheeling and its office market, it's much smaller than you would look in Northbrook or Schaumburg and so forth. And really, if the Solex building was still vacant and we didn't have somebody going after that for an adaptive reuse, we don't have a large inventory of office space like some of these other communities. So that was the primary rationale for how we've proposed this to the board.
Right, understood.
I agree with a lot of the things that you said. Certainly, we'd love our office space to be more fully occupied, but we've also got to recognize that this program, we're really designing it to help us with some problem properties.
Right. I understand that, and I don't want to spot incentivize is, akin to spot zoning, where we just want to fix the Ram and Twin Peaks. Stuff like that. I mean, like Kolsak was here today. I mean, his property would be eligible, if there was no floor, and now it won't be. And, he's going to have a right to come back and say, hey, this isn't equitable. Why is, a different vacant parcel going to qualify for it? Like maybe Don Ross might. I don't know if it would meet that threshold, but depending on the development that was proposed there. But it just seems to be a little uneven when we have that floor.
Again, we don't want every office building owner to apply for the Class 6B or Class 7. We have to limit how we, and use this program very judiciously, in my opinion.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Vito. If there are no other comments or questions, this is an issue for discussion.
The direction we're looking for is simply, as Director Malanofi said earlier, we would just like the go-ahead to prepare the documents for your review. That's the next step. We would prepare the application, we would prepare the narrative of the program, and we would bring it back to you for adoption.
So the question is basically, should we move forward with this or not? Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Pepantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
And I am a yes also.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Official communications. Clerk Simpson, you have something?
Yes, I do. The Wheeling Community Blood Drive is scheduled for Wednesday, November 6th from 2 to 7 p.m. at Village Hall. Blood donors of all types are needed for critically ill patients, accident victims, people needing surgery, and those patients suffering from chronic diseases such as cancer and leukemia. If all eligible people would donate, there would never be a blood shortage. Appointments are greatly appreciated for our blood drive. Schedule your donation online at www.vitalant.org or call Serena Ivaldi at 847-499-9048. Please donate to help save lives. Walk-ins are always welcome. And I know it's a little early, but it's that time of year again. Lollipop Lane will be sponsored by the Wheeling Historical Society, and it starts on December 7th, and it'll run through December 15th.
Trustee Pepantos, then Trustee Vito.
Thank you. Two things, just to piggyback on what Clerk Simpson just said. A good friend of mine just had a liver transplant last week, 38 units of blood. We want her to be healthy. If you can donate, please. The blood supply is desperate. She's down at Northwestern. There were 3 other transplants going on the same night that she received her liver. So a whole lot of blood was being used. It's needed. I would, and it's the time for the fire department to shine, I guess, tonight. I want to congratulate firefighter Frank Urbanus on his graduation from a 9-month paramedic training at St. Francis, which included over 300 clinical hours, plus 500 hours of ambulance calls, ride-alongs with our department. It tells you a lot about our department that his coworkers were willing to mentor him through this and make sure that he was successful, and he was. He is a hometown boy, and he's also a vet. So I am really proud that, people come to us and want to work for Wheeling and do such a great job. So thank you, Chief, and the whole department for making sure that he has done that.
Thank you, Trustee Pepantos. Trustee Vito, do you?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Denise Katz and Kimberly Schwartz of Devon Bank. Denise is of Rand Manufacturing. They put together, they ran and chaired the Taste of the Town. This year it was a great event. I know Director Malanofi, of course, helped out getting some of the restaurants and some of the sponsorships. Second year we've had it at Chevy Chase, which is a great venue for it. It makes it a little more homey. I mean, the Weston's cool, but Chevy Chase just makes it more of a Wheeling feel. The ballroom's just, classic kind of Wheeling feel to it. So that was a really nice event. They really worked hard to pull that off. So I wanted to thank them for that.
Thank you, Trustee Vito. Trustee Vogel.
Yes, just with all of the leaves that fell with our sudden snowstorm Thank the street sweepers for coming through and picking them all up. I know they worked, I think, a lot of extra hours to get it cleaned up. But also, when is Waste Management's last leaf pickup?
The last pickup is November 30th this year.
Okay.
Last week in November, that's our last pickup.
Okay, good, because people were asking. I guess they finally realized they were going to have leaves falling, so thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Vogel. Earlier, it was mentioned at citizens' comments, a request for chickens. The village does not currently permit chickens.
That's correct.
It's actually something I've been thinking about for decades. Could you assemble a small amount of information for us to look at what's out there? And wait, I'm sorry. Let me get ahead of myself. Would anybody else be interested in reviewing this besides me to see about permitting chickens in the village, to review what's going on, and or is this just a thing that I've got?
I'm all for chickens.
Vito likes chickens.
Yeah.
Peppa,
Do you need a rooster
no.
too?
What's that?
Do you need a rooster too?
No, you
I don't
don't
know.
need a rooster.
No. Oh, great,
fact,
Joe, you don't even know if you need a rooster.
Roosters are never allowed.
No. I had a friend of mine has chickens in Prospect Heights, and we had a long discussion about how that works, and then it felt really dumb because the biology is very similar to human biology in terms of.
Don't need the,
eggs, so-
the males are
Yeah, you don't need the male.
unnecessary.
Yeah, I learned that.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Vogel, would you be interested in a
Sure, why
discussion?
not?
Could you assemble just a little bit of information so that we
Certainly.
can have a discussion about this and see about introducing it? Trustee Kruger, I know you're not excited about it. Trustee Lang,
Not in my backyard.
not in your backyard. Trustee Rufato,
No.
I still want to see some.
Flew the coop.
I'm going to do
Will do.
that. I'm going to ask for that, please.
Will do.
Thank you.
Doesn't Chicago do that?
Chicago
have
considers bees livestock,
Okay,
so I don't know if you want to go there.
okay.
They do.
Exactly, because it's a problem.
We have before you, if there are no other comments, you have before you the bills for October 3rd through October 30th, 2019. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Second?
Trustee Vogel, second to Trustee Papantos. I need a roll call.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. We do have an executive session this evening for the purposes of the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee or employees of the village, pending probable and/or imminent litigation, and the discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed under this act, whether for purpose of approval by the body of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by Section 2.06. In short, I need a motion to recess into executive session.
So moved.
Motion, Trustee Rufato.
Second.
Second, Trustee Kruger. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Recess. Thank you all for being with us. You can stay if you like.
Heal quickly.
Personally, I wouldn't. Given the choice.
it's a fair
It's
fair assessment.